Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Today we will talk about the most exciting upcoming movies of 2020 and beyond. Yes, No Time to Die has moved release dates. Yes, Sucks has been cancelled, but that doesn't mean cinemas have all been put on hold. In fact, some studios have made it clear that they will go ahead with their planned releases. So what's upcoming movies should be looking out for? Well, there is A Quiet Place Part 2, Mulan, The New Mutants and so much more. So viewers, let's start now on number 1. On number 1, A Quiet Place Part 2 2020. A Quiet Place Part 2 is one of the most anticipated upcoming horror movie of 2020. Like another notable Part 2, The Godfather, it picks up straight after the events of the first film, but also flashback to fill in some pre-sequel gaps. Whereas A Quiet Place started in aftermath of sound-seeking alien invention, Part 2 will show us that happened one day one as seen in the recent trailer. On number 2, Mulan 2020. Aside from Onyx Star Wars, Marvel and Pixar, Disney also has a massive back catalog of animated classics to remake in live action, so the latest cartoon to get the Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo and the Aladdin treatment is Mulan, the 1998 story of a young woman in Imperial China who pretends to be a man to join the army. Chinese-American actors and pop stars Liu Yifei takes the title role with support from Rogue One, Johnny Yan as a mentor commander, Tong and Jet Li as the Emperor. Whale Raiders Nikki Caro directs watch the Mulan trailer for the better look at the movie. On number 3, The New Mutants 2020. The New Mutants was due a long time ago. In fact, the X-Men spin-off was originally set to come out in April 2018, before both Deadpool 2 and X-Men Dark Phoenix until reshoots and Disney buying Fox pushes the release date back to its current April 2020 birth. Directed by Josh Boone, The New Mutants will follow a group of teen mutants trapped in a research facility against their will. They have to face up to their powers and their personal demons to survive and escape. On number 4, Black Widow 2020. The next stop in the MCU will be the Black Widow movie, directed by Kate Shortland. The confirmed cast includes the Scott Derrickson returning as Natasha Romanoff, Stranger Things, David Harbour as Alexei, Florence Pugh and Yelena Bolivar, Oti Fatbulna as Mason, and the Rachel Weisz as another Black Widow. The Taskmaster will also be in the Black Widow movie. The first footage from the movie shows Romanoff and the Pugh character tussling in the Budapest in a flat-out, furious fight scene. They use everything at their disposal, including a literal kitchen sink, but it ultimately ends in a chokehold stalemate. The short clips end with the car chase. Black Widow crashes and is met by Alexei, played by David Harbour, who blocks her rapid fire gunshot while a shield. Who would have believed back in 2001 that a fun, relatively unspectacular Van Diesel movies about street racing and third, fourth, fifth and sixth movies in the series, alongside fast stalwart Van Diesel and Michael Ruggles, Jordana Brewster is back for the first time since her character Maya walked into the sunset with the late Paul Walker, Brain in Fast and Furious 7. John Cena will also appear in the movie as a John Brothers and the Hand is back, as the trailer promises justice is coming. On number 6, Artemis Fowl 2020. The biggest studio on the planet has high hopes for the Artemis Fowl, Disney's biggest budget adoption of Irish author Ian Colfert's hit series of the kids' books about a 12-year-old criminal genius. As the trailer shows, the upcoming movie is a real mix of a genre, with the James Bond spy-style West fantasy world and the prosthetic weapons that wouldn't look out of place in a Man in Black. It centers on Artemis Fowl's quest to rescue his father and recovers the family fortune, a mission that pulled him into a world of affairs-driven underground years before human greed. Director Neil Breen has pulled together an impressive cast for the movie, including Demi Judi Dench, Game of Thrones, Nanso and Zoe, Dwayne Hongshu, and the Frozen Josh Gad. just so long as he doesn't to go the way of certain other big budget actioners. Sorry Percy Jackson, that could be a new blockbuster franchise in waiting. With the 8 books in the series, there are plenty more material to mine. On number 7, Wonder Woman 1984-2020. A sequel to Wonder Woman was pretty much inevitable following the first movie rave reception, and after spending that movie in the First World War, we are picking up the Diana as the title suggested in 1984, and thanks to being immortal, she hasn't aged a day. This time around she will be facing the perils of Cold War, and we are guessing Rubik's Cubes and the new romantics, as well as a new villain in the form of Kristen Wiig, Cheetah. Star Gal Gadot and director Patty Jenkins are both back in action, as in Chris Pine, despite the fact his team Trevor didn't make it out of the first movie alive. Is he a figment of Diana's imaginations? Or is there another better reason for him to show up in shopping mall in some very white trainers? We'll have to wait and see. What's the next? On number 8, Soul 2020. Pixar's second releases of 2020 is the latest from Patty director and the constantly innovative director of the brilliant Up and Inside Out. So we can hope for something very special from Soul. Ever wonder where your passion, your dreams and your interests come from? Asked Disney in your press releases for the movie. What is that makes you? You, in 2020, Pixar Animation Studios take you on a journey from the street of New York City to the cosmic realms to discover the answer to life's most important questions. We are intrigued. On number 9, Top Gun Maverick 2020. 34 years after the original Top Gun, Tom Cruise feels the need to go back to the role that made him the biggest movie star on the planet. This time around, his patty Maverick Mitchell is an instructor at the Campinas San Diego Flight School, and he is set to come into contact with trainee pilot Bradley Bradshaw, who just happened to the son of Maverick's late co-pilot Goosey. The first Top Gun was a glorious example of 80s excess and the style over the substance, so don't expect that the sequel to be a deep examination of a pilot's past. But with the director Joseph Kosinski having thrown Legacy and the Oblivion under his belt, the upcoming movie is bound to look spectacular. Meanwhile, the return of Val Kilmer as Iceman is a nice link to the original. He can be our wingman anytime. Will it be the best of the best? We will have to wait until next July to find out. On number 10, Ghostbusters Afterlife 2020. Who are you gonna call when it's come to having another crack at the rebooting Ghostbusters? It seems the answer is Jason Reitman. The two-lead director announced via teaser trailer in January that he has inherited the megaphone from his dad. Originally, Ghostbusters director Emmett from the movie Reitman Jar has described as a continuation of the original franchise. That means the new movie will pick up decades after New York was terrorized by insurgents from the spirit world, meaning the unfairy Malignant 2016 movie now sits alone in its own parallel timeline, with Fargo carrying soon Stranger Things, Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, the young Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel, and Ant-Man himself, Paul Rudd, heading up the cast. It promises to have a very different feel to the four guys team up to fight ghosts, vibe of the original movie. On number 11, Tenet 2020, along with James Cameron and J.J. Abrams, The Dark Knight, Inception, and the Dunkirk director Christopher Nolan is one of the only filmmaker on the planet with enough clout to get a studio to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a totally original franchise. His latest is Tenet, an action epic evolving from the world of international espionage. Unfortunately, the ever-secretive Nolan has decided to play his card ever closer to his chest than unusual, because we know practically nothing more about a movie that we are guessing could be scratching his long-standing itch to make a Bond film or something like it. Black Clemens John David Washington heads up the cast with the support from Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Dimple Kabadia, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Clementi Vossi, Kenneth Branagh, and the Nolan regular Michael Caine. On number 12, Morbius 2020. After the massive success of Venom, Sony going full steam ahead on the Spider-Verses that may or may not be attached to the MCU. Tom Holland will be appearing in Spider-Verse movie, and we already know Vulture in is marvelous. We were guessing so. Morbius center on the another troubled villain anti-hero. This time is a Michael Morbius, a scientist with a rare blood disorder, whose experiment to find a cure and up giving him a form of vampirism. Dallas Buyers Club Oscar winners Jared Leto is playing that so-called living vampire, so expected impressive level of commitment from an actor who famously went methods playing the Joker in Suicide Squad. Indeed, producer Matt Tolmach told comicbook.com that we can expect a similar level of intensity and charisma and devotion to the character. On number 13, Bill and Ted Face the Music 2020. It's fair to say that the last 3 decades haven't pinned out quite as many expected. That particularly true for Williams, Asperson, Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan, who are yet to fulfill their destinies by the pinning that songs that will bring harmony to the universe and bring meaning of averages way down. This long-awaited follow-up to excellent adventure and the biggest journey returns star Alex Winter and the Keanu Reeves, creator Ed Sullivan and Chris Matheson, and bunch of the supporting cast including William Sadler as a death. Sadly, that the passing of George Carlin in 2008 mean to do won't be guided by their future BFF's refuse, but expect him to bear longly a homage in the what promises to be the silliest, most feel-good comedy of 2020. On number 14, Kingsman 2020. After Kingsman, the Secret Service announced the arrival of a fun new spy saga. Follow up the Golden Circle fell a little flat. Now director Matthew Vaughn gets a chance to renovate the series based on the Mark Millar and Dave Gibson comic book series by going back to the early 20th century. In the pre-sequel, we are thinking of it as the League of Extraordinary Tailored Gentlemen. A big advantage of the visiting the original of the tutorial undercover organization is the chance to roll out a lot of famous actors playing even more famous historical figures. Ralph Fiennes, Liam Neeson is a Lord Kitchener, Raz Ifnes is a Rasputin, Gemma Arterton is a Mata Hari, and Tom Holland is a King George V. Kaiser Williams too, as a Tessera Nicholas II. The 3 Mortares were cousins, and the spit of each other expected ridiculous gadgets, over the top action, and plenty of innuendo. On number 15, Witches 2020. Having first been adopted by the legendary Nicholas Roeg in 1990, Roald Dahl's Darkest Children novel has a second crack at the biggest screen courtesy of Back to the Future director Robert Zemeckis. Expected Anne Hathaway to giving kids nightmare as a sinister grand high witch who plots to turn all the children in the world into Mikvaya. We are guessing the Benny Zemeckis some extremely impressive transformation effects. The big twist in that the upcoming movie will shift the book UK setting to America South in the 1960s. As a Zemeckis told French side Alex, we are going to set in the Gothic South in the 1960s. It's an exciting way to put sociological spin on this kind of the witch story. Number 16, The Eternals 2020. The Eternal Mark, the second movie, is Marvel Phase 4 and comes with the stellar cast including Richard Madden as a Ares, Angelina Jolie as a Tina, Kumail Nanjiani as a Kingo, Salma Hayek as a Ajik, Brian Tyree Henry as a Pastor, and many more. Feige himself has given a small peek into what to expect from the Eternal story, having told comicbook.com. It will be a story that will introduce you to the incredibly electric group of immortals. They are the focus on the story, he said of a setting. It takes place in our universe, it takes place in the MCU. Colisau, who will be directing the Eternal, said SDCC is just a really wanted to make a Marvel movie for so long. For this film, The Eternal is about the incredible group of immortals, but throughout their journeys we get to explore what it means to be a human. Number 17. No Time to Die 2020. After the No Time to Die, aka Bond 25, has taken its time getting to be a big screen. Hopefully it's a case of better late than never. However, because this will mark Kirk last ordering in the tuxedo before he hands back his license to kill. Plot details are unspringly scarce, but we do know that the movie kicks off in Jamaica with Bond enjoying some R&R after the events of Spectre. Reports have indicated that a new 007 played by Lashana Lynch, Captain Marvel, will bring Bond back into the fray, with the Bohemian Rhapsody actor Rami Malek acting as a main villain. Ana de Armas, Blade Runner 2049, will also appear in the movie, with the Lea Seydoux, Ralph Fiennes, Ben Whishaw, Norm Harris, and Rory Kinnear and Jeffrey Wright all returning. Behind the camera, the detective and the manic director Cary Fukunaga becomes the first American to the helm an official Bond movie, while Fleabag creator star Phoebe Waller-Bridge is one of the writing team. On number 18, June 2020, is Frank Herbert's supposedly unflammable classic science fiction novel Dune. Generously unflammable, the journey is still out of David Lyne's ambitious but the flawed 1984 attempt, but if anyone can get an adoption right, it's arrival director Denis Villeneuve, a man who achieved the impossible with the excellent Blade Runner 2049. He lined up an impressive cast to tell the story of double dealing and skullduggery on the desert world of Arrakis, the source of valuable spice that make interstellar travel possible. Timothy Chalamet played the lead Paul Atreides, with the Mission Impossible Rogue Nation Rebecca Fergus as his mom, Lady Jessica, and the some top star war and Marvel talent in the form of Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, and David Bautista as Zendaya. Perhaps the biggest question about the new Dune, however, is whether Villeneuve can create any visual quite the memorable string wandering around his underwear in the original movie, intentionally or not. On number 19, West Side Story 2020. There are not many genres Steven Spielberg has trickled over the course of his long and impressive career, but the musical is one of them. He is about to change all that with this new take with Side Story, but seeing as a Robert Wise and Jermaine Robinson. 1961 Oscar winner is widely regarded as one of the best song and dance flicks of all time, as a director certainly isn't taking the easy option. Famously an update of Romeo and Juliet, the story focuses on a doomed romance against the backdrop of gang war between the Jets and the Sharks in 1950s New York. Baby Driver star Ansel Elgort and the newcomer Rachel Zern played Lover Tony and Myra, the Rita Moreno who won an Oscar playing an expanded version of the role of Doc. We know tunes are the good. The question is, can Spielberg making everything else sing as well? On number 20, The Assistant. The systematic culture of interference and cruelty that often from around the powerful serial abuser get put under the microscope in the seriously observed New York office drama, which draws inspiration from the behavior of Harvey, while intentionally blurring some of the detail. We never learn the name of the tyrannical boss in the story, and the exact nature of his crime are never fully revealed. Instead, Julia Garner, assistant Jan, and the Northwestern guide, fresh off a handful of internship, provides our entry into the narrative. The movie tracks her duties, tasks, and indignities over the course of a single day. She makes copies, coordinates air travel, pickups, lunch orders, answers phone calls, and cleans suspicious stains off the couch. At one point, a young woman for Ledhow appears at the reception desk, claims to have been flown in to start a new assistant, and gets whisked away to form a room in an expensive hotel. Jan raises the issue with an HR rep, played with Smarmy Mans by Susanne Matthew, but her concerns are quickly battered away and turned against her. Rejection chip and dramatic twist. The assistant builds its claustrophobic world throughout the steady accumulation of information, while some of the writing can feel too imprecise and obscure by design. Garner, who consistently steals sense of Netflix Ozark, invest every hushed phone calls and carefully word email with real transpiration. She locates the terror in the drudgery of the work. On number 21, Bad Education, a chronicle of greed, status and vanity. Bad Education shares both the few qualities with the Martin financial crime epic The Wolf of Wall Street, the story of another Long Island steerer and slicked back hair. Trading the stock market for the public education system. Director Corey Finley Wade takes its inspiration from A Wild New York from 2004. Charts the tragicomic downfall of Roseland School District Superintendent Frank Tonsney, a charming and beloved administrator in a rising wealthy area, when his assistant superintendent Tom Glucki, Allison Janney, gets caught allowing a family member to make personal charges using the school credit card. Frank's world of healthy smoothies, expensive suits, and gleeful deception begins to unravel. Using a high school newspaper reporter as an audience surrogates, the script withholds key detail of Frank's life for a large section of the routine, allowing Jackman to give a performance that gradually reveals no layer of emotional complexity and more emptiness, like the tweezers of Frank used to difficultly plucks his nose hairs. Then movie takes a surgical approach to his subject. On number 22, Sorry, We Missed You. The modern gig economy is set up so that the customer really has to think very much about the person delivering a package to their door. Sorry, We Miss You, the latest working class social drama for 83-year-old English filmmaker Ken Loach, is a harsh reminder that those piles of cardboard Amazon box having a human cost. The film follows married couple Ricky and Abby as they attempt to raise their two kids, keep their humble home in Newcastle, and hold down job stripped of the conventional protections. As Ricky, demurring boss tells him at the beginning of, he is not an employee, not he says, on small business over the independent contractor. Loach finds dark locks and obscurity in the convoluted language of praxis, particularly the way management attempts to sell poor working conditions as a form of empowerment, but he also captured the tender, intimate moments that occur in even the most soul-sucking jobs. Ricky and his daughter find joy in knocking on doors and leaving notes. Abby, who works as a nurse, generally cares for her patients like her own family, even if the company she works for refuses to pay for her transportation. Thought the script learns too hard on melodrama in its final stretch, setting up senses that don't always deliver on the dramatic potential. Loach never loses her moral grasp on the material. On 33, Bad Boys for Life. It hasn't exactly been a great year for action so far. Bad Boys for Life has to be the biggest surprise, given its lengthy production history, its January release date, and the departure of series director Michael Bay. The action Andrew gets and a Viking cameo. Here the press taking a break from a shooting Netflix 6 Underground. This movie could be a disaster. Instead, Smith and Lawrence easily slipped back into a role that made them action movie icon in the 90s, and the writers find a way to update the grayish over-the-top aesthetic of the series for the French era. In a wise decision, director Adel Arbi and Bilal Fallon don't even bother trying to top the excess the mayhem of Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys for Life is a gentler, sillier movie than is the predecessor, less interested in moments of vulgarity than instances of car crashes throughout the street of Miami and jokes about getting too old for this shit. But the material is given a light touch that lets the two stars do what they do best. On number 24, The Way Back. Disciplined in its approach and unapologetic about and the contrivances, Ben Affleck, basketball coach in crisis drama. The Way Back is a sport movie that understands the fundamentals and motivation, what it's like for flashness and ingenuity. The undergoing dog narrative of a creepy team hitting its street under the leadership of a groove coach hits all the requestees' Horace's notes. Its makeup for with a orderly and thrilling downbeat craftsmanship. Little detail like the freeze frame when the scenes of the game pop up on screen or the click-clack, visually heavy music of complete emotional power over the film breaks runtime. Playing a washed-up ex-athlete with an immediately apparent drinking problem and a number of strategically hidden personal demons, Affleck delivers a rare performance that resonate with his off-screen persona. In the way both obvious the surprising, in brief stretches, director Giovanna O'Connor, who handled the similarly intense melodrama's muckle and warrior pull of the ultimate sport movie trick of making you believe the character redemption isn't inventable every win a battle, even if you know the results going in. On number 25, Color Out of Space. For a certain type of moviegoer, any film will, Nicolas Cage says the world's epicest multiple times in the world seeking out. Luckily, Color Out of Space as a psychedelic adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's short story from 1927 offers more than just furry animals and unhinged theatrics, mixing hints of the science fiction intrigues and the best horror movies acts along with a couple splashes of a strong friendly comedy. Richard Stanley proudly whereby movies vibrates on its own peculiar frequency. Cage Nathan, a charity farmer with a loving wife, and a pair of medley rebellious kids must contend with the meteorite that crashes in his front yard, shooting purple light all over his property and infecting the local water supply. Is it some space invader, a domestic spirit, a biological force indiscriminately wreaking havoc on the fabric of reality itself? The squishily unknowability of the evil is precisely the point, and Stanley melts Evil Dead-like gore shadows with the pink flood laser-like freakouts to thrilling effects, achieving a moving and disquenching type of Jan alchemy that should appeal to fans of Cage out there turn in similarly odd hyper Monday. Again, you will know if it up to our Empire West with Jenny Austen, but the opticians come Autumn, the wild style, and the sweet Emma. Anna Taylor-Joy plays flapped harmony Emma Woodhouse, a young woman who thinks she knows everything about making love matches for everyone else, but is clueless about conducting her own romantic life. Old family friend George Knightley watches aghast, and Emma bursts into everyone else's businesses, at first harmlessly enough. Then she makes a query remark that demands she recognized her everything she thinks she knows about human behavior and about herself. Emma feels both modern and authentic. It's the best way, inviting everyone, die-hard, Austinians and newbies alike, into its embrace. On number 27, First Cow. In Calais, Richard First Cow and owner played by Toby John and the cookie and King Lew steal her milk and start a small business, making delicious little fried quack with this, then sell to drugs. Hungry for trapped who were tired of eating fried squirrel, nothing in the or notoriety in easy and in-turn friendship always is its pitfalls. Thought friendship at least prevails. Shot by Christopher Bulovich, First Cow is one of the most beautiful-looking films of the year, a ripple of visual tranquility. It's also dazzling meditation on the idea of tenderness between men and our affirmation that humans, despite our occasional opportunistic techniques, still can't help starving for kindness and connection. On number 28, The Half of It. Everyone who reaches age 20 can boast of having survived teenagehood. Still, that period of our lives never loses its hold on us. In our lives, we prickly sweet romantic comedy The Half of It. Three high schoolers, she, nerdy Ellis, awkward but sweet Jack Paul, and pretty popular bookish Esther, from a teenage love triangle with the coaches of Crano de Bergisa. Paul has a crush on Esther and asks Alice to write a love note to her. Ali obliges, and when thought she has a crush on Esther herself. In the final, the ends don't tie up neatly. when it comes to teenage romance that they really do, but along the way to half of it maps the complex contours of romance, friendship and the grossly bumpy territory in between. It's a movie for the teenager in all of us. On number 29, Dolittle 2020. After a pair of poorly received films starring Eddie Murphy, Robert Downey is ready to take up the mantle Dr. Dolittle in a new screen adaptation directed by Stephen Gahan. The film will be based more of the second book by author Hugh Lofting, and it will co-star Antonio Banderas and Michael Sheen, with the voice of Tom Holland, Marion Cotillard, Selena Gomez, John Cena, Emma Thompson and more. On number 13, Weathering with You 2020, the latest animated adventure from Koto Shikai, the acclaimed director of Your Name, centers on the pair of teens, one of whom can control the weather, who meet and form a bond with each other before one of them reveals a secret that will charge both of them forever. On number 31, The Gentleman 2020. After a bit of a departure when 2019 live-action Aladdin remake, Guy Ritchie returned to his roots with the British gangster's tale about an American pact with a wheat empire in London, whose imminent retirement for the business pawns and a criminal free for all his territory. Fans of Ritchie's early works are excited to see him at the helm of another crime chapter, as it's hard to beat the sight of a slinging Luke Hodge Grant playing against time. On number 32, Gretel and Hansel 2020, from the director who previously brought us the Black Coats, Dr. and I Am the Pretty Things That Lives in the House, comes a dark new take on the classic fairy tale about a brother and sister who falls prey to cannibalistic witch that entices them the tasty treats. Sophia Lillis and Samuel Leakey star as the tutorial Jew who embark on the desperate search for food, only to encounter something far more evil than we have seen in any previous adaptation of the story. On number 33, The Lodge 2020, Syrian Fila and Veronica France, the duo with the broad as 2014 chilling physiological thriller Goodnight Mommy returned with another striking horror film. Riley Knopf plays Grace, a young woman who is living alone at the Winter Lodge with her boyfriend's two children, but not everything or everyone is quite that why they seem. As a secret or reveal and tensions rise, there may be more than just personal history to worry about. On number 34, Sonic the Hedgehog 2020, the first trailer for his adaptation of the classic video game famously drew the ire of Sonic fans around the world, promoting the studio to announce that it would be updating the look of the character. That led to a pushback from its original 2019 release date, but on the plus side, those same fans were all about Jim Carrey as a villain, Dr. Robotnik's, and of the trailer featuring as a resigning Sonic that was released in November 2019 was met with wholehearted approval from fans, so here hoping the rest of the film is up to stuff. On number 35, Fantasy Island 2020. Moviegoers of a certain age may remember the popular TV drama Fantasy Island, in which the victors to the tutorial vacation spot would be granted a chance to live out their wildest fantasies for a price. Blumhouse has decided to twist the concept into one of its horror offerings to bring it into big screen, as the adoption centers on a group of guests who fantasies spiral out of control dangerously and they must figure out how to survive. On number 36, The Invisible Man 2020. After 2017, The Mummy failed to launch Universal Cinematic Universe of classic monster, they handed the reins of The Invisible Man over to their horror partners at the Blumhouse for a modern, updated standalone features. Elizabeth Moss stars as the former lover of an abusive psychopath who has committed suicide, or has he? Maybe that him breathing over her shoulder and lighting sign on fire in her house. On number 37, Scoop 2020. Warner Bros. Offer a new animated film based on the classic Hanna-Barbera character, The Time, focusing on the relation between Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. We get to see how the two may meet and become best buds before teaming up with Fred, Daphne, and Velma to solve crimes. Also, Scoop talks in full sentences now. Originally slated for the theatrical release, the film is now scheduled to go straight to VOD rental instead. On number 38, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run 2020. The long-running, widely popular animated series get another big screen outing as the whole SpongeBob SquarePants gang are back for another adventure. This time out, SpongeBob and Patrick embark on a rescue mission to recover Gary, who has been taken by Poseidon and find himself in the mythical land of Atlantic City. On number 39, Antebellum 2020. The physiological mystery. First teaser trailer didn't give a whole lot away, which is probably a good thing. We do know from the film's synopsis that it centers on a successful writer played by Janelle Monáe, who becomes trapped in some sort of the alternate reality, possibly on set in the slavery era American South, and must figure out a way to break free. It's definitely giving off some Get Out and Us vibes, which isn't too surprising considering the film has played up the fact that a producer of those films is behind this one as well. On number 40, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It 2020. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga return to reprise their role as a real-life paranormal investigator, Eddie and Lorraine Warren, in this third chapter of original Conjuring franchise, focusing on a real case they investigating in which a murder suspect invoked demonic possession as a defense for his crimes. Michael Caves, who directed 2019 Conjuring adjacent spin-off The Curse of La Llorona, takes the reins as director when James Wan remains attached to the film as a producer. On number 41, The Kingsman 2020. While both the third installment of the Kingsman franchise as a Statman spin-off are still away, audience will first get a taste of how the whole thing came to exist in the first place, with the pre-sequel set in the early 19th century. Ralph Fiennes leads Alan Starkos in an origin story that will show how a group of ex-soldiers form the spy agency. On number 42, Candyman 2020. Long-term fan and contemporary horror maestro Jordan Peele in producing the sequel to not a remake of the classic 1992 horror film about the murder son of a slave whose ghost haunts the Chicago neighborhood where the Cabrini Green housing projects once stood. We don't know yet exactly what direction the new story will take, but we know that Nia DaCosta, Littlewoods, is directing, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen to Aquaman, and Tiona Barris will star, with Tony Todd reprise his role as the ironically little character. On number 43, The Trial of Chicago 7. Aaron Sorkin began writing a script of the historical drama back in 2007, but the project suffered several setbacks that delayed it for more than a decade. Now, with the impressive cast on board and Sorkin's in the director's chairs, we will finally get his retelling of the controversial trial of 7 men who were charged with conspiracy and inciting to riot during the anti-Vietnam War protests in the late 1960th century. On 44, Death on the Nile 2020. Kenneth Branagh will return as Detective Hercule Poirot following the surprise success of 2017 Murder on the Orient Express, which Branagh also directed. So far, big names like Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, and Annette Bening, Lalita Wright, and Rose Leslie has joined the Wood unit. On number 45, The Witches 2020. Robert Zemeckis will direct the remake of Roald Dahl, The Witches, which was first brought to the big screen by director Nicholas Roeg in 1990. Zemeckis has some big shoes to fill. The original tale of an annual conversation of the world witches that interpreted by the inquisitive young boys sits at 100% of the tomato meter. Annie Hathaway will star as the Grand High Witch, has even bigger shoe to fill. Tough Angelica Huston's performance as the World Head, which has made the character one of the most memorable kids villain in cinema. On number 46, Snake Eye, G.I. Joe 2020. This date was originally revealed for another Hollywood property, namely Micronauts, but seeing as how Transformers has selected a bit that one of the we're getting G.I. Joe spin-off instead. Especially, we are getting an origin story, or maybe not, for Snake Eye, the mute ninja commander previously portrayed by the Ray Park in the live-action film franchise. Snake Eye past has always been shrouded in mystery, save for the fact that he was one close friend with enemy ninja Storm Shadow, and the fact that an explosion not only several disfigured his face but also fried his vocal cord. In other words, it makes sense is this. will be a prequel, especially since they have hired Henry Golding to play the role. On number 47, Stillwater 2020. Matt Damon starred in the thriller about an Oklahoma oil rig worker who traveled to Marseille, France to unravel a mystery and clear his daughter's name when she is imprisoned for a crime she says that don't commit it. The film co-stars Abigail Breslin and it's directed and co-written by Tom McCarthy, who won a pair of Oscars for 2020 Spotlight. So there's considerable pedigree behind this project and there's no reason not to be optimistic about it. On number 48, Godzilla vs. Kong 2020. It's the showdown we have been waiting for since 2014 Godzilla. Director Adam Wingard, who has proven he knows how to bring the thrills with the gust and you are next. Hence the climatic entry in Warner Bros. Monsterverse series which will continue in 2019 with Godzilla King of the Monster, who will win when the giant ape take on the king. On number 49, Escape Room 2 2020. We don't know who will star in the film yet or how the story will play out by this year. Escape Room was a surprise hit, so we are curious to see where they will go next with the high concept premise. On number 15, Lost in Lost Coming to America 2020. After over the 3 decades, it's Lukta, Prince Akeem, King Akeem and Simin are returning stateside from their homeland of Sumunda. Much of the original cast are returning include James Earl Jones as a King Jeffrey Chopper and John Amos as a Cleo McDowell as Akeem learns that he has a long lost son he never knew about who might be there to the throne. Let's see on the holiday TBD. In addition to films that have yet to set a release date, several others have been pulled from their scheduled theatrical opening weekends due to the concern over the coronavirus. The films below have not been yet given new release dates. On number 1, Antlers 2020. Kerry Russell and Jesse Plemons star in the supernatural thriller about a small town teacher and her sheriff brother who find themselves in a waking nightmare when they discover one of her students harboring in a terrifying secret in his attic. On number 2, Promising Young Woman 2020. Killing Eve. Showrunner Emma Fennell makes her featuring writing and directing doubt with his thriller starring Carey Mulligan as a villainette who pretended to be a drunk at bar, luring man who claims they want to help her and then confronts them when their advanced inventibility turns sexual. On number 3, The Personal History of David Copperfield 2020. Jeff Patel starred in the reimagining of the classic Charles Dickens novel told throughout a comedic lens by Armando Iannucci, the man behind such sketching scurtles as In the Loop, The Death of Catelyn, and the HBO Weeps. The production boasts in the impressive cast that includes Tilda Swinton, Hugh Lauren and Ben Whishaw, and the Peter Capaldi. On number 4, Spiral 2021. The sub-franchise officially gets revealed in the new thriller with the Darren Lane Bousman Saw 2, 3 and 4 back behind the camera. This time, 2 co-stars played by Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson investigates a series of gruesome murder and they find themselves at the mercy of a killer reminiscent of the past, Jigsaw, Copycat and anyone. On number 6, The Woman in the Window 2020. In Joyride, the adaptation of the novel of the same name that takes the premises of Rear Window to a new place. Amy Adams stars as a child physiologist Anna Fox, an agoraphobic woman who develops a friendship with her neighbor who lives in the building across the street. Played by Julianne Moore, only to witness her friend being murdered by her husband. Expected maybe that not actually what happened, and maybe Anna medication is playing tricks on her mind. On next, Greyhound 2020. Tom Hanks is no stranger to WW2 movies. See Saving Private Ryan, and he will return to the theater of war to command the naval ship Greyhound, which was pursued by German U-boats across the Atlantic Ocean along with 36 other Allied ships. Director Alan Snyder Golo won an Oscar for Best Live-Action Short back in 2003. On next, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Writer-director Charlie Kaufman, anonymous writer of the adoption and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, returned to a big screen after a 5-year hiatus. Details are thin On the next film, Throughout its Trainer described as a dramatic thriller about a couple en route to meet the boyfriend's partner, even as the girlfriend is considering breakup with him, who are forced to take a detour that ends up being more purely than they expected. Next, Mank, 2020, working from a script written by his father Jack Fincher, directed David Fincher and tells a piece of Hollywood history in Mank, which the center on screenwriter Herman J. McKenna's battle with Orson Welles over the writing credits on Wales' masterpiece. Citizen Kane, Grey Oldman is set to star in the title role with the sporting turns from Amanda Seyfried. On into the new decades, the movie prospects keep getting better. The release slated for 2021 are so exciting they will make you salivative with anticipation, and we can't wait to see them. First writer we shall get another Asian blockbuster, and director Justin Daniel created Marvel entry Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Then the first family will be back for another action-packed installments of the Fast and Furious franchise. Can you believe we are on 9 movies already, not to mention The Rock's much-delayed Black Adam adoption film will finally zoom into theaters. And to top it all off, we will finally get the next chapter of the Avatar story of James Cameron. After over decades of patience, we will also be getting monumental sequels for Space Jam, Sherlock Holmes and Tomb Raider. The list is long and it will probably get longer, so smart marking your calendars now. Let's start now on January to March. On January, The Last Duel. It's been to January 2 years since the Ridley Scott did the unthinkable and reshot all the money in the world weeks before its release date, but this time around he will be racing against history with the Edwardian tale of the Knights and Maidens. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon will routine win with Colin Abbe and breakout star Jodie Comer filling out the cast. Next, Peter Rabbit 2: The Runaway, 2021. This film is directed by Will Crook and James Gordon, Rose Byrne, Dominic Hall, Gracie David Overly, and Elizabeth Debicki is joined as the starring roles. First the garden, then the world. The plot for the sequel to Surprise is loosely based on the work of Patrick Potter is still under lock and key, but we are sure it will involve James Corden, Cecily Rabbit, causing all sorts of PG-rated troubles. We do not expect any blackberries to be involved, however. On next, Mortal Kombat, directed by Simon McQuarrie. If you have been waiting for the inventable Mortal Kombat reboot, 2021 has got you covered, with Lewis Tan, Magic Brooks and the Joy Taslim attached to star. The newest franchise installment is bound to be everything you could want in a fantasy material of action films. James Wan will be producing, so there bound to be some of the magic that made the Saw franchise so successful. On next, 355, directed by Simon Kinberg. If you are still missing NBC Smash, then you are in luck. This new spy flick from screenwriter Teresa Rebick might be just up your alley. Produced by Jessica Chastain, and with star-studded cast that includes Fan Bingbing and Lupita Nyong'o, the female-led thriller is bound to make a splash. Next, Rugrats 2021, Tommy, Chucky, and the rest of the gang are back. Detail our scares with David Roberts at the helm as a director. This new live-action remake for the classic Nickelodeon cartoon is bound to be the nostalgia, including box office hits. Let's see on February. On number 1 in February is Cinderella, directed by Kay Cannon. If there is anyone who can do justice to Whitney Houston turns in the fairy godmother, it's none other than Broadway legend and the pop star Billy Porter. Sure, we might not need another Cinderella story, but what could be better than vocal legends like Idina Menzel and the newcomer like Camila Cabello, bringing the classic story to life. On next, Eternals. Already we talk about Eternals, but let's see on what's new in 2021. The second film of a Marvel Phase 4 goes cosmic again with the Eternals. Much of the cast was announced in a bit. In brief, the Eternals are power immortals who help shape humanity and history of Earth. And the cast includes a lot of a big name from Angelina Jolie and the Salma Hayek and the Kumail Nanjiani and the couple of a Game of Thrones king, Richard Madden the Kit Harington, plus director Chloe Zhao in Noah Search also helps up, shared by M. Night Shyamalan. And the usual M. Night Shyamalan newest project is shrouded in mystery, but it's sure to be worth the wait. The Uncharted project, it was first of the two horror in slated to direct the Universal in the coming years, and we can't wait to see what he comes up with. Let's see on the March. Ghostbusters Afterlife 2021, directed by Jason Reitman. Jason Reitman will direct a sequel to the original Ghostbusters franchise, unrelated to the all-female reboot directed by Paul Feig in 2016. We still don't know much about what the story will be, but accosting new trickles in the We Didn't Learn the Spin. Will Huff and McKenna Grace will play a brother and sister with Carrie Coon as their single mother and the Paul Rudd in the film in an undisclosed role. We are still watching. Onward, if a Sigourney Weaver stated in the interview the remaining original Ghostbuster will appear in the film. Originally slated to open on 10 July 2020, the film was pushed back due to concern regarding the coronavirus outbreak. Next year on the Master of the Universe 2021, the She-Ra reboot has been doing well over at Netflix, so it's only natural that He-Man would follow after the 1987 plot film flopped at the box office. It's prime time for a reboot that brings all that company goods to screen. No cast has been announced, but anyone that follows in Dolph Lundgren shows would be lucky. On next, Jackass 4, directed by TBD, starring TBD, and opening on 5th March 2021. We don't yet know who from the original Jackass gang might show up in the next installment. Throughout the both Johnny Knoxville and Steve O have expressed in doing more outrageous stunts and pranks on the big screen. All we know is that Paramount has officially announced a release date for March 5th, 2021, so we will just have to wait and see who jumps on a bird. On next, Raya and the Lost Dragon 2021. It is an animated film from Disney. Cassie Staley lands her rise to the title character, a young warrior in a fantastical land who embark on the quest to find the Lost Dragon. Awkwafina, who been on a roll as of late, will provide the voice of said dragon. But outside of that, we don't know much else about the film, which was officially announced in D23 in the late August 2019. Originally slated to open in November 2020, it was pushed back to this March release due to delays related to the coronavirus outbreak. On next, The Many Saints of Newark 2021, directed by Alan Taylor and Michael Gandolfini, Verena Farmiga, John Brental, and Billy Morgan. Rhea Liotta, Corey Stoll, and Alina Novella drag as a working as a story. Whether you feel that the end of the Scorpions, you know the controversial fade to black with frustrating and the pigeon or anticlimactic and unsatisfying, you probably jumped at the news that the Superman movies is in the works. With the late James Gandolfini no longer around, however, the only way to go was a prequel, and who better to portray a young Tony Soprano and the Gandolfini son himself, Michael Alan Taylor tracks this look back at the early years of the iconic Tom Bumster, with the Rhea Farmiga, John Brental, and Ray Liotta in supporting roles. On next, Morbius 2021, we already reviewed on this movie, but let's see what's in the new in that film. This film is directed by Daniel M. Sunia and starring Jared Leto, Jairus Harris, Andrea Arjona, and Smitten and Gibsons. The first true test of the Sony break with Marvel Auto Spider-Man and the various characters related to him will come into the form of Morbius, based on the Spidey villains who suffering from a rare blood disease and the eventually turns himself into a vampire in the misguided attempts to cure himself. Jared Leto, who sparked a lot of online character with his portrayal of a Joker in 2016, Suicide Squad plays the title character like F9 and Ghostbusters Afterlife. This film was pushed back from the original 2020 release. On next, Untitled Paranormal Activity movie. directed by TBD, starring TBT, and opening on 9th March 2021. There are very few details on the 7th installment in the noted horror franchise, but after 3 rotten films in a row, the series is primed for a big critical comeback. Jocelyn Blanc will produce for a late March release. On next, see Tomb Raider 2, directed by Ben Wheatley and starring Alicia Vikander, opening on 19 March 2021. Oscar-winning Alicia Vikander is back to reprise her role as the action heroine Lara Croft in the sequel to her 2018 film. No other cast has been announced yet, but Ben Wheatley will direct a script from Amy Jump. On next, Baby Boss 2 2021, directed by Tom Mackert and starring TBT, opening on 26 March on 2021. The Baby Boss might be rotten, but its monster box office take shows the audience is hungry for more. Fans of Alec Baldwin in first talking Baby in business will be pleased to know his will be back to reprise his role in 2021. Tom Mackert will return to direct. Let's see on April worst movies releases on April in 2021. On number 1 on April is Fast and Furious 9 2021. Already know that directed by Justin Lin and starring Vin Diesel, Charlize Theron, Tyrese Gibson, John Cena, Michael Rodriguez, and Ludiska and Lucic Black. This film is opening on 2 April 2021. It's fully tutorial and the pedal to the metal for the Toronto crime adventure anti-terrorism. What even there they family game. Director Justin Lin was the man to turn the franchise around, delivering the series' first fresh entry on his third try with the 2011 Fast 5 certified fresh at the 73rd person. Since then, every Fast movie has landed on the red end of the thermometer. The new entry will bring the family back together to face off against the new villain played by John Cena, who happened to be Dom Toretto's brother. Also, and is back with the film was originally slated on open on May of 2020, but pushed back almost a year to occupy the slot that had originally been reserved for Fast and Furious 10. On next, Vivo 2021, directed by Kirk Demico, starring on TBT, on the heels of the Oscar-nominated Moana and 2020 In the Heights movie adoption. Vaudeville legend in Lin-Manuel Miranda will return to his musical roots with the new animated musical from Sony. Kirk Demico will direct, but no other cast has been announced yet. On next, Last Night in Soho 2021, directed by Edgar Wright. In that time, Edgar Wright has a new movie coming out. It's something to look forward to, but throw in the face that he assembled a cast that includes upcoming younger stars like Anna Taylor, Joy, and Thompson McKenzie. So as well legendary vets like the Diana Rigg and the Tracer Stamps at the fact that it's a horror film inspired by the both Don't Look Now and the Repulsion Yes Please and Thank You. On next, Drones Goons Wrong 2021, directed by Jan Philippian, Wayne and Alessandro Carlino and Octavio Rodriguez, and starring as a Thompson Barbusa and the Bentley Colo. Originally slated for a late 2020 release, Ron Gone Wrong was pushed back a few months after 2020 Century Fox, with the acquired by Disney. The animated adventure in the set in a world where every child best friend in a digital concern in reboot and follows on a young boy who discovers his own reboot Paul doesn't quite work that why it should. Let's see on May, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings 2021, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, starring Simu Liu, Tony Leung and Awkwafina. After bringing the true story of Bryan Stevenson to screen in the year, just married Destin Daniel Cretton will joining the big league of his next project. Shang-Chi will be the Marvel Cinematic Universe first action-led film. Kim Convence and Simu Liu is set to star, and the farewell in Awkwafina has been also cast in an unknown role. On next, John Wick Chapter 4 2022. Keanu Reeves has been having a culture moment the past few years thanks in no small part to the incredible John Wick franchise. In 2021, he will be back for number 4 to continue the story. On next, on The Matrix 4 2021. We already reviewed on The Matrix 4, but let's see in the verse next in the new. Directed by Lana Wachowski, and the starring Q Ravis, Karim Anamos, Yahya Abdul Mateen 2, Jessica Henwick and Neil Patrick Harris, Jonathan Groff. And of course, if John Wick Chapter 4 doesn't give you all the cameo you need, you can always pair it with this movie, which opens on the same day. We don't know much else about the movie at that same point, but we don't know the Carrie Anderson and Moose will return in Trinity, and the cast will be rounded out by people like Yahya Abdul Mateen 2, Neil Patrick Harris and Jessica Henwick and Jonathan Groff. Lana Wyszkowski will also return to direct off. Lily Wyszkowski will be unavailable due to other commitments. Next, Cruella 2021, we already reviewed in that movie on our channel, but let's see in this one. Emma Stone will star in Disney's latest live-action remake of an old classic in the vein of Maleficent. Cruella will focus on the imagined villain of 101 Dalmatians in her youth and show how she became obsessed with the Dalmatian fur, with the Emma Thompson and the Mark Strong rounding out the cast. It's been bound to be worth that wait. See in June, Sesame Street 2021. Jonathan Creel is our director. Who doesn't know the way of Simpsons to retell our skills, but the new live-action film is bound to feature all the favorite characters you remember, and with the Anne Hathaway attached to star, it's bound to be delightful. Micronauts 2021, directed by Dean D. Bilius, starring TBT and opting on for June 2021. The long-awaited Micronauts film will be finally touched down in 2021. Now cast has been announced, but How to Train Your Dragon director Dan D. Bilius is attached to direct. Based on the action figure by Mego, the film will be also by producer J.J. Abrams. Jurassic World Dominion 2021. I already reviewed on this, but next in the stars are back for another tangle with the dinosaurs in the third installment of the reboot franchise. Chris Pratt and the Brent Dolan, however, will be returned alongside franchise favorites Lorna Dern and the Jeff Goldblum for the summer releases. In the Heights 2021, directed by Amchu and starring Anthony Ramos, Leslie Grace and Crow Hawkins, Jimmy Smith and Stephen Bates, Jessica Ploneko. This film is opening on 18 June 2021. This film, just review on this. Crazy Rich Asian director John M. Chu adopts in the Manuel Miranda Breakhouse musical In the Heights, the show which kicks off the Hamilton character career won for Tony Awards in 2008. Include Best New Movie shares similar theme of reclaims on the heritage. It follows the story of several characters in New York, heavily Latino neighbors Washington Heights over 3 days. On the 1st of July, The Minions, The Rise of Gru 2021. I already reviewed on this movie on our channel. Let's see, link under the description. This film is directed by Kale Balda and Brad Abelson, starring as Percy Coffin, and this film is opening on 2nd January to July 2021. The last other Minions Warwick Howick in 1960s England before they meet up with a young Gru. Perhaps the next adventure will be there first with him. Whatever, Shanginians, the yellow ones, voiced by Perry Coffin and Greta to expected them to be at it again for Minions 3 and Minions 4 and so on. The first Minion movie made more than the $1.5 million globally and helped the Despicable Me franchise become the highest grossing animated franchise of all time. Space Jam 2 2021, directed by Malcolm Dilly and starring LeBron James and Don Cheadle, opening on 16 July 2021. Speaking our old stories for a new audience, LeBron James' long-awaited Space Jam sequel will finally arrive in 2021 with Don Cheadle starring alongside the basketball legend and the Ryan Coogler producing. There's no telling how much fun and the Malcolm Dilly directing following up will be. Jungle Cruise 2021. Director Tommy Collette Serra and starring Don Jensen, Emily Blunt and Edgar Ramirez, Jack Whitehall and Jason Plum and Plum Gamity. This film is opening on 3rd July 2021. Following the path that the Pirates of the Caribbean Charted so successful, this new film franchise is based on the Disney theme park attraction of the same name. Damon Johnson and Emily Blunt star respectively as the robot captain and the scientist on a hunt for a magical crew in the Depression era. Action-adventure comedian Jack Whitehall also joins in the fun, playing Blunt's attractive brother. Colleague Sarah has had a string of action thriller hits working with the Liam Neeson, Computer and Non-Stop Unknown. There is no chance this on the cool will slightly darker than Antiseptic. Let's see on the August, The Suicide Squad 2021. Directed by James Gunn and starring Jared Leto, Margot Robbie and William Dallas, Joel Camina and Jake Hawtrey. Really, I like this film, The Suicide Squad, and you must see. And this film is opening on 6 August 2021. 2016 Suicide Squad may be roaching, but the 2021 follow-up might just redeem the series. Most of the primary cast in the routine with the Idris Elba joining the new role. The stars cast in the also adding Storm Red, Flora Brock, and Nathan Fillion and the Patty Davidson. James Gunn is attached to direct before to return to Disney from Guardian of Galaxy 3. On October, The Batman 2021, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz and Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano and Andy Serkis and Jim Levinson. This film is opening on 1st October 2021. It hasn't been long since Batman was lost on screen, but Batflix in Stephen Down as a chap Scrooge and the Starving as a producer instead for the new move for Matt Reeves, with the unconventional cast that includes everyone favorites other house vampire Robert Pattinson in the title role. It's a bound with the words another look at the Bruce Wayne origin story. On next, Uncharted 2021, directed by Robin Fleischer, wanted by Sony, starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, opening on 8 October 2021. The Indiana Jones style action adventure film based on the popular video game series of the same name has been floating around in development for more than are decided, but it wasn't until June of 2019 that we got some solid forward movements on it. Tom Holland was confirmed to star in the film, and it's scheduled to go into a production in early 2020. In September of 2019, Travis Knight, Kubrick and the two starring Bumblebee signing as a director throughout Sony accelerated schedule ultimately knocked him out of the running. Mark Wahlberg also signed on to co-star, and the latest reporting in the Sony is eyeing Zombieland director Robin Fleischer to replace Knight as director. On next, Halloween Ends 2021, directed by David Gordon Green and starring Jamie Lee Curtis and Jory Green and Andy McKinney. This film is opening on 15th October 2021. The original Scream Queen is back for the rumored final installment in the iconic Halloween franchise after the success of reboot Quill in the 2018. In second film is slated for 2020, leading to the final showdown in 2021. Jamie Lee Curtis and Jolie Gary are attached to the star once again. Let's see on November. On number 1 is Untitled Elvis film, directed by Baz Luhrmann, starring Austin Butler and Tom Hanks, opening on 5th November 2021. On this film has no title because no title are suggested, but the Elvis film is on its star name. But let's see on what is next. Austin Butler beat out the turns of the hopeful to win the role of the famed king of rock and roll for this biopic from Warner Brothers, with the Baz Luhrmann on board to write and direct. It's bound to be a rich cinematic experience. Tom Hanks is also attached in supporting role. On next, Untitled Spider-Man sequel, directed by John Watts, starring Tom Holland and opening on 5th November 2021. After the 10th installments between the Sony and Disney, Spider-Man will be back for the 3rd installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, means MCU. With the cliffhanger of the last film ending, we can't wait to see what the next for the friendly neighborhood hero. On next, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 3, 2020, directed by David Yates, starring Eddie Redmayne and Jodie Law, Johnny Depp, Ezra Miller, Alison Sodell, Dan Fogler, and Katrina Wixon, opening this film on 12 November 2021. The second Fantastic Beasts film doesn't manage to find its audience, but with the world as big as a Harry Potter universe, there's bound to be something to draw them back in. J.K. Rowling is back as a screenwriter in the original franchise, and Eddie Redmayne will reprise his role as the enigmatic New Works Commander. On next, Impossible 7 2021, directed by Christopher McQuarrie and starring Tom Cruise. Opening on 19 November 2021, Tom Cruise will back in action for the 7th installment in the franchise that showcases his willingness to engage in death-defying stunts. Christopher McQuarrie will also be back as a writer and director after serving those roles in the last two films. Hopefully, he will be able to pull off a hat trick with a third certified fresh film in a row. Let's see on November. On top of November releases is Avatar 2 2021, and I am already reviewed on this one on our channel. Link is available in description. Let's see on description. This film is directed by James Cameron and starring Sam Worthington, Josh Landa, CCH Pounder, Stephen Lang, and Sergio Weaver, Giovanni Ribisi, Kat Wilson, and Joel David Moore. This film is opening on 17 December 2021. What have the Navy been up to for the late decades? Believe it or not, that's how long it's been since the original Avatar film budded into a cinemas. And the change the industry forever. In 2021 will finally get a sequel, and 3 more films in the franchise are already in the pipeline. It's a long wait, but it will be worth it for a follow-up to certified fresh sci-fi epic. On next, Hotel Transylvania for 2021, directed by TBD and starring Adam Sandler, opening on 23rd December 2021. Adam Sandler might be used busy ranking in the critical reviews of the Uncut Gems, certified fresh at 92%, but families will be happy to hear that he will be back as another go for Dracula in Hotel Transylvania for just in time for a Christmas release. On next, Things 2 2021, directed by TBT, starring Matthew McConaughey, Selena Gomez, Shawn McCandless, and John C. and Idina Menzel, and Jesse Worship, and Nikki and Salma Hossain. Opening on 22 January 2021, originally slated for Christmas 2020, Universal Things 2 will release summer 2021 instead. The animated feature about a Coca-Cola talent agent will see most of the principal cast return with the addition of Idina Menzel and Selena Gomez. Chances are not another big family-friendly hit. On next, Black Adam, directed by TBT, starring and Diana Johnson, and this film is opening on 22 December 2021. Danny Johnson has been attached to star in the Black Adam since at least as early as 2014, but is in 21 he will be finally hit the big screen and officially join the DCEU as the all-powerful anti-hero. As the name is of Zachary Levi and Shazam, there are definitely an on-screen crossover to look forward to in a future as well. It's height Johnny Johnson got to play superhero we all know him to be, Sherlock Holmes, directed by TBT, starring Robert Downey, Dr. Jorla, and Rachel McAdams, opening on 22 December 2021. I already reviewed on this movie, and you must see on the links on description. With the Robert Downey free from the MCU, it's finally time for the long-awaiting Sherlock Holmes sequel by 2021. It will have been decided since RDJ and the Geordie Law thus brought their mischievous friendship to Victorian England. Rachel McAdams is back as Ireland Adler with the script from Chris Brancato, best known for his work in television on Hannibal in Narcos. On next of Babylon 2020, directed by Damali and starring Emma Stone in a talks of Brad Pitt and talks, opening on 2021. Writer-director Damien Chazel's fifth film is like her Oscar-winning La La Land, another tribute to old Hollywood. This time, literally, the story centers on the period of transition when the silent film era began to give way to a talkies, and both Emma Stone and Brad Pitt have intertalks to stars in the film. Judging for its release date and the announced plans to expand into a wide release early the following year, this century feels like it's being set up to be an award-considered contenders. So dear viewers, what's about your opinion about these movies in 2021? Tell us your opinion in a comment box. If you have liked this informative video, then press the below like button and encourage us. Thanks for watching.